And so, my dear ones, here we are at the end of our Thanksgiving week, at the end of the November month, and so we're summing up what we've been allowing ourselves to be open and receptive to, and that is a deeper awareness of prosperity consciousness. And today is the day when we get to tie that all together. And I'm knowing that as a result of the journey that we've all been making this month, we are all feeling that breath of spirit. We're feeling that sense of fullness and that appreciation for the generosity of life that lives through us. And so what is it then that we're looking forward into now as a result of our open receptivity to knowing that there is no shortage in life and there is no lack and there is no limitation to those of us who understand where our supply comes from. We now know it doesn't come from anything outside of ourselves. It doesn't come from our work. It doesn't come from our banks. It doesn't come from any institution, any person, any place, anything. Where does it come from? Where does it come from? Where does it come from? Consciousness. Yeah, give yourselves a round of applause and a high five. Now, if we keep remembering that, we will have changed ourselves forever. And that's what we've been looking at this particular month. So we know, what is it? We know there's a power for good in the universe, greater than you are, greater than I am, greater than everything is that's perceived. And you and I are in it, and it flows through us. We use it, it uses us, and in our right use of it, our conscious use of it, all good is available to us. All good is available to us. Why? Because we now come to understand and realize whether or not we're living from the awareness is a different thing, but that we are heirs to the kingdom of consciousness, the kingdom of heaven, which is the kingdom of consciousness. And that in this kingdom of consciousness, all good is and available to us. All the gifts of the kingdom of consciousness available to us without exception. Without exception. Doesn't matter who we are, how we are, where we are, and what state in life we're in. Nevertheless, all of that is available right here, right now, to each and every single one of us, without exception. Question is, do we really believe that? I mean, really. Do we really and truly believe that right where I am, God is, number one? Do we really believe that I am the entitled heir to the kingdom of consciousness and all its good? Do I really believe that? And I mean, this is wonderful. Some of us are answering. These are rhetorical questions, because if you were all to answer, we'd be here forever. But you have to ask, and I have to ask myself this daily, and throughout the day some days, do I really believe? Do I really believe? Because only believe, all things are possible, only believe. It is done unto you as you believe. We have heard this up and down the yin-yang. Believe, 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 only believe, only believe, only believe. And it's true, you and I are great believers, deep believers, phenomenal believers, amazing believers. But in what? Mostly in lack, mostly in limitation, mostly in what we haven't got, mostly in what we cannot do, mostly in all of the negating that we participate in life. And remember, it only takes 51% of our consciousness to be on the right side of life, in order for you and for me to flourish, to thrive beyond anything we might imagine. So, you and I have to make the decision today, because this is the day when we have to wrap it all up as far as prosperity consciousness is concerned for now and for here. What am I going to do with all the information, all the knowledge I have received and said yes to and came into agreement with? What am I going to do with that? How is it going to affect me? Is it going to change me? I mean, really, is it going to affect and is it going to change me? Gratitude is the one thing that will keep us on the straight and narrow. Gratitude, 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 and then some gratitude. Because that is an energy, it's a mental atmosphere, an emotional atmosphere that keeps me open and buoyant. It keeps me looking at the good that's in my life because that's what I'm grateful for. It keeps me focused on what is wondrous, what is good, what I do have, what's going for me. That's what gratitude does. Gratitude. What it does is it dissipates fear. In gratitude, my fear disappears and abundance appears when my fear disappears. That's what gratitude does for me. So it's a very important part of my understanding of what prosperity consciousness is all about and a prosperous life is. Gratitude, in all things give thanks, it says, in all things give thanks. Gratitude, have gratitude, have gratitude. And that means when things are good, when things are bad, when things are flatlining, whatever it is, doesn't matter. I need to be grateful. I need to be thankful. I need to be aware of what is with me and for me in my life. And never go to what is against me, because doesn't Ernest Holmes says we are a people who are for something and against nothing. We are against nothing. We are for something, but we're against nothing. So what is it that you and I are for? You'll know by how you think and what you're feeling and what's going on, what you stand for, what you're fascinated by, what you're contemplating, what you're thinking, what causes you to wonder. So we want that to be on the affirmative side of life, coming out of the realization that I am entitled heir to the kingdom of all good. And the kingdom of all good is the kingdom of consciousness. There's no other kingdom that can provide me with this beautiful experience of a full, glorious, accomplished, fulfilled, achieving life. That will only happen when accompanying my gratitude is my understanding and realization of the privilege of being here to serve, of the privilege of knowing who I am, the givingness of life back onto itself, of the privilege of understanding that life is extraordinarily, radically extravagant. It never stops flowing and giving and giving and giving and giving. And that's the nature of me too, to be as life is, giving in service, with gratitude, and with a glad and joyous heart. Because as it is written, God loves a cheerful giver. Absolutely. And we know the difference when people give to us cheerfully and when they don't. We know ourselves the difference when we are giving cheerfully and when we are not. And the energies are very, very different. And the feeling is very different. And the reward is very, very different. And it's not that we give with any idea of reward at all, because if you and I give with the idea of reward, it's not giving. It's not giving. That's manipulation. And so it's not giving. So we have this wonderful sense of being this amazing, expansive, full, glorious energy that we can direct toward all kinds of great good. And the fun thing about it is, without us even thinking about it, all of that comes right back at us and to us with great, huge, big interest. Everything I put out there comes back to me with interest, good, bad, and indifferent. But we're excited now about prosperous consciousness and the generosity of life and its radical givingness. That's what we're set on. That's what we're thinking about always and ever from here on in. And yes, we will forget, we will falter, we will go back into the conditioning that we have conditioned ourselves into to think and feel that we haven't got whatever it is we think and feel we haven't got. We are so rottenly spoiled, I can't tell you, in the South Bay or in this country. We are so spoiled, so bratty spoiled. I'm telling you, it's awesome when you sit back and listen to people's conversations and the griping and the cribbing and the complaining and so on and so forth, when we have those 65 million people in the world who haven't got a home, who are wandering, who are without a place to plant themselves to take care of their children, waking up in the morning not knowing how they're going to get through the day, how they'll feed their children, if they'll have clothes on their backs, if they'll have a roof over their head. 65 million. And we are here moaning, groaning, and belly aching and complaining. It's awesome when you think about it and when you get it. It really is. So why wouldn't we be in gratitude? Why wouldn't we be giving thanks? Why wouldn't we be feeling so wonderfully well taken care of and provided for? Why wouldn't we? I know for me personally, I would never have to go without ever, because I have people I can go to and say, I'm in need, this is my need, and I know that need will be taken care of. I know I will never have to worry about a coat on my back or a roof over my head or food in my stomach, because I have my village, and the village will take care of those in the village. And I don't have to be concerned. And really and truly, how blessed we are. I woke up yesterday morning, I couldn't stand how blessed I felt. I just couldn't stand it. I couldn't talk, I couldn't find words, I couldn't write in the journal, I couldn't do any of that. And I was driving up to Hollywood yesterday morning, and I'm telling you, I don't know how I got there, but I did. And I got there in half an hour. It was an amazing thing. And I was just singing the praises of life and living. It was a glorious, and I knew this is not going to last, but I'm jolly well going to make the most of it while I'm in it. And so it was. The day had the perfect synergy in it. Everything was impeccably in divine flow. And that's because I know I was absolutely, totally centered and consciously open and receptive to knowing that God is my source. No ifs and buts, doubts about it. I even managed to get into the chiropractor yesterday and let him torture me. It was wonderful because he was booked up and down the yin-yang, but I got in. And he really did pummel me, did a great job. I'm bruised, my feet. I could show you they're bruised from what he did to me yesterday. And I'm thanking God for it. The tears are pouring down in my eyes. I'm in pain. And I say, oh, thanks be to God I got here today. I can't tell you. It was all wonderful. All of it was wonderful. Do you see what I'm saying? I was in joy about it all. I mean, when I began to feel the bruises later on, I still didn't let myself slip down. I said, this is a beautiful demonstration of the power and the presence of Spirit taking care of my needs. I mean, really. And so the day was incredible. And then I'm sitting in my room last night, as I always am on a Saturday night. And what happens? I'm there, I'm at my desk, it's all flowing beautifully. And the lights go out, all blackness descends. I'm so happy, I just turn on the lamplight on my phone, and I have the light I need on my desk. It's fine, all is well. It really is. Stays pitch black dark forever, and I get through it all very nicely. Stumble into the bed in the dark and so on and so forth, go straight to sleep. Didn't even wake up when all the lights went on and so on and so forth. And then this morning opened up so very beautifully too. And I thought, wouldn't it be lovely if we could live at that level of heightened awareness and feeling all of the time? And the answer that came was, you can. You can. It's up to you. Why? Because I am the controller of my consciousness, and I am the master of my mind. There's no other controller, there is no other master. And I can make excuses and I can blame forever and a day, but I am the controller of my consciousness, and I am the master of my mind, and there's no one to blame. No one to blame. I have all that power available to me, all of it. There is no thing to stop or block me except my own sense and sensibility and the mental and emotional atmospheres I create in my own sensibility. That's all that can stop me and block me, and nothing else can. And so how do I get to that? How do I get to that? Well, how do you get to Carnegie Hall? You practice, and you practice. That's how. So you and I engage in a daily practice, a spiritual practice. What does that mean? I mean, really, it doesn't fit into our modern world at all. Spiritual practice? What the hey is spiritual practice when we're all in our cyber gadgets and so on and so forth? There's nothing in there about spiritual practice. Well, it's an old-fashioned term for relationship. Relationship with my source, relationship with the lover of my life, the creator of my being, the sustainer, the provider of my good. That's all. It's worth having a relationship with that primary significant one in my life, is it not? So the practice is part of this wonderful courtship. Remember, Spirit, the beloved, is always courting us. We're the ones that don't court back. Spirit never ceases courting us. We just ignore it a lot of the time, and we don't court back. Well, spiritual daily practice is about courting back. It's about paying attention. It's about investing in the most important relationship in my life, in all life, in anyone's life. To be awake and aware and alert to the inner beingness of my being. I'm not just me, you see. And neither are you. You are not just you. And I'm not just me. I am more than that. You are more than that. The relationship is with the moreness, the greatness, the power, the life, the light, the love that is universal, that is everlasting, that is ever expanding, ever morphing itself into more and more and more and more and more of itself, by means of me, by means of you, by means of everything that lives, and it all lives. Spiritual practice. Now, you and I have to make up our minds either we're going to invest in this or we're not. And if we don't invest in it, it's okay. It's all right. Don't have to judge yourself for that or feel that you're any less. You're not. Couldn't be any less than you are. You'll never be any less than you were, are, and always will be. You are the life, the light, the amazing energy of life with capitals itself. It just means you're postponing your enjoyment of it all for a little bit. That's all. No judgment around it. It's up to you. But the invitation is always out there, and we're here to remind each other that the invitation is always out there. Would you like to come higher, friend, is the invitation. Higher in consciousness, we're talking about. Higher in consciousness, and the higher I go in consciousness, the less enamored I am with all the adulation and labels and titles of the higher uppers, whoever they are. The more I go higher in consciousness, the less I am enthralled with being on high at the top of the heap, at the top of the pyramid, or whatever that is. Whatever that is. The more I go higher in consciousness, the more I realize that it's all consciousness and we're all at the same height anyway. And nobody is lesser and nobody is greater than anybody else. And that's a beautiful thing to know and to realize and to live from, to think from, to act from, to be in that awareness all of the time. So, I mean, here you are. You're sitting here. You're mighty. You're great. You're powerful. There's not a bother on you, as my mother would say. Not a bother on you. It doesn't matter what the circumstances are. There's not a bother on you because of who and what you are. And you have to decide now, are you going to commit to that deepening and heightening and widening of consciousness? So you're going to stay conscious. Your spiritual daily practice will keep you conscious. So what you do in the morning time, you get up and you have a meeting with your senior significant partner. And you have that meeting first thing, and there's an agenda. And whatever the agenda is, it's whatever the agenda is. For me, what would that executive meeting look like? It would look like spiritual reading to begin with, trigger something or whatever. Or it might not. I might go straight into meditation, or I might go straight into journaling. It depends. It's not fixed for me. It can be any one of those things. But that's my first focus in the beginning of the day. That's my first focus. So I pull my wits about me, again, as my mother would say. I draw the energies in alignment, and I'm open to the good and the unexpected good in the day, and I get excited about that, and I go forth to meet and greet my good as it comes forth to meet and greet me. At the end of the day, I'm going to be pondering all of the things I'm grateful for. I'm going to be annotating that, jotting those down. I'm going to be excited to write down what my expected and unexpected good happened to be in that day, and there always is expected and unexpected good. And throughout the day, I'm going to be reminding myself to stay close to source, especially the more busy I become in the busyment of the embodiment and so forth. It's going to be different from each and every one of us, but all I'm asking from all of us today is a commitment to somehow or another decide to be committed to the great self of myself and to be in a deeper relationship with it. And therefore expand that conscious awareness of how great and good and grand life is. And remember, if you're not in joy, there needs to be an adjustment, because joy is the color, the tone, and the texture of one who is in close relationship with their source, joy. And so it is okay to enjoy what we are doing and to do what we enjoy. And so that's what they say, do what you love and the rest will follow. Do what you love, as the book said, and the money will follow. Be in joy, for heaven's sakes. Nobody likes a sourpuss around the place anyway. It doesn't do any good. And some of us look like vinegar was running through our veins instead of blood. I mean, really. And I mean, that includes ourselves, you know. I know when I feel that vinegar is running through my blood and I have to slap myself and snap out of it. I do. There's a big difference between the vinegar and the blood. Blood is warm and it's lovely and the motion is beautiful. Vinegar, on the other hand, is sour. It's not good. It doesn't taste good, and so forth, etc. So what is it going to be? Because whatever that is, you've got to come to it. Nobody's going to hand it to you on a plate, because it's a do-it-yourself job. Why? Because you're sovereign. Why? Because you're unique. Why? Because you are one individualized expression of infinite intelligence in your own unique way. I can't tell you what to do no more than you can tell me what to do. You have to find your own answers. But the beauty of it is, if you form a relationship with your source, you will learn to trust yourself, and you will grow intuition, and your intuition will be your best pal, and your intuition will be there for you at all times and will never let you down, provided you are open to understanding, I of myself do nothing. It is the power, it is the presence of the one within me that doeth the work. And get out of the way and surrender it and give it up and hand it over and take your sticky fingers off it when you do. And it'll all work out beautifully. Do not take my word for it. Put the teaching itself to the test, and then see if you will not find that heavens will open up and shower such great blessings upon you that you won't be able to stand it. Not your body, it'll be too small to be able to stand it. You'll be dancing jigs, and you will so realize that everything happens for some great purpose, and that I am here on a mission, a huge mission, a grand mission, a unique mission. I am here to fulfill the mission through serving however that opportunity crosses my path. And I don't have to look for it. It will find me. And when it does, for me to know I'm on my mission, I'm on my purpose now, and I will serve, and I will allow that power and that presence of spirit to have its way with me anytime it so desires or chooses, because by God I am able to do that. And so it is.